Welcome to our big band gala preview. We are, whoops, hold on a second, there we go. So I think you all know me. I'm Amy Catania. I'm the director here at Historic Saranac Lake at the Saranac Laboratory Museum. That's where I am today. If you haven't come here to visit, you can now come. We are open at reduced hours through this time. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're open from 10 to 5. So I hope you'll come visit us. We have a big project going on, which you are probably tired of hearing me talk about, but we're going to be talking about it for a while to come. We bought the building next door. We're in the process of doing the architectural design and museum planning to rehabilitate the building for expansion of our museum, and we will become a 2-building museum campus.
Okay, so to start our presentation, I want to tell you a little bit about what the 1940s in Saranac Lake was like. It was an exciting time in Saranac Lake. In the beginning of the decade, the village was emerging from the Great Depression. The TB economy was booming again. The economy was gearing up for war. And then, getting through World War II and to the end of the decade, I think there was, a great sense of relief that the war was over, a desire to celebrate. And we look forward to that kind of celebration at the Hotel Saranac for this party. So that'll be fun. One of the great stories from dances in the 1940s in Saranac Lake was this story, something that occurred in the town hall. I looked for a vintage photograph of the town hall back in the day and couldn't find one, but it's okay because the town hall looks a lot the same today. You would have had to picture all the chairs being cleared out of the way and lots of people dancing, because in 1949, the Jimmy Dorsey Orchestra played in the Harrietstown Town Hall for 800 people. It was the post-ball, and this was the climax of the 4-day encampment of the New York veterans of foreign wars. People danced until 1:30 a.m. and arrangements were made for the Dorsey Orchestra to come to Saranac Lake through the efforts of William Morris. And William Morris, the talent agent who was so well known, made such a difference in Saranac Lake, bringing so much talent to the area. And the Dorsey Band was one of those amazing events. It says that the orchestra played a number of request selections and introduced the song "I've Got That New Look," written by Ernie Burnett and Thomas Sheridan of Saranac Lake. As the dance concluded at 1:30 in the morning, Mrs. Dorsey, mother of the 2 nationally known band leaders, was introduced to the dancers. After the ball, over at the local Post VFW, they entertained members of the orchestra at the Veterans Memorial Home at 173 Broadway, where the Veterans Office organization is today. So, this really wasn't that long ago, 1949. Howard Riley had graduated from high school by then. And so I called up Howard and asked if he remembered this dance. He didn't. I think high school kids weren't going to events like this as much as their parents were, but he did remember a smaller band, that there were smaller band concerts, there were local small bands that played out at the Swiss Chalet and in Lake Placid. And he also remembered a band coming to play at the town hall, I believe he said, and it was the Johnny Long Band. I looked him up on YouTube, and I found this old video of the Johnny Long Band, so I just wanted to show you this little clip.
There's a shanty in the town on a little flat ground with the green grass growing all around, all around. The roof so worn, so badly torn, till it tumbles to the ground. That's a tumble down shack, and it's built way back about 25 feet from the railroad track. Thing is on my mind most all the time. Keeps calling me back to my little old shack. I'd be just as sassy as Haile Selassie if I were king. Wouldn't mean a thing. Put my boots on tall, raise the writing on the wall, and it wouldn't mean a thing, not a doggone thing. There's a queen waiting there in a rocking chair, just blowing her top on Gator's beer. Looking all around, and I'm trucking on down.
big part of the music of the time, but there was another kind of music that was really popular in the 1940s, and it was Cuban music, what they called Spanish, but it wasn't Spanish, it was music in Spanish. And that was really popular increasingly around the country, but it was particularly popular in Saranac Lake because Saranac Lake had a lot of Latin American patients and other people, family members of patients. So this is a picture from our collection. It's captioned in our collection, Spanish patients. Most of these people are Cuban and Puerto Rican. And there's two people in particular in this picture. The man in the back with the hat and the mustache, his name was Alfredo Gonzalez. And he came here with tuberculosis as a young man. I think he was 17 years old in 1920. And he met his wife here, and her name was Alicia Paredes. She was from Havana, Cuba, and they married in 1926. She was 20 years older than him. And she's the short woman in the front, the short kind of stout woman with the big fur coat. So they were a couple, and I've always wanted to know the backstory of their relationship. But they became like a powerhouse couple in this town. They ran many different cure cottages. They catered to rich and famous people from around the country, but they really got very involved in the life of the community as well. This was the house that they operated that was the most well-known, the Gonzalez Cottage up on Park Avenue. It's still there today. It's a red cure cottage. They lived next door, and they also hosted patients there. They hosted, while they were there, a couple of interesting characters. Arturo Aleman, who was the top advisor to the Cuban dictator, Batista. Also, Mrs. Fulgencio Batista, who was his wife, and her children, they stayed in Gonzalez's cure cottage, or his house next door.
Okay, Amy?
Yes.
The most beautiful cottage they owned was at the top of Franklin Avenue. It was absolutely gorgeous. It's not there anymore. And that's where Somerset Maugham cured when he was here.
The Alta Vista.
Yeah, the Alta Vista.
Yeah, that was a very, very fancy place. I have a picture in just a minute of the Alta Vista, so thank you, yes. So I did some research on the Spanish-speaking patients who were here in Saranac Lake, and this was a long time ago that I did the research, but you can see from the survey of the Spanish-speaking patients that were here, just how many, they were from all over Latin America, and this was just the sample that I looked at, but you can see that the majority were from Cuba and Puerto Rico. And although many of them stayed in the Gonzalez Cottage and the Alta Vista, which is on this, it's 48 Franklin, you can see 10 patients there. They stayed all throughout the village too. It's a really interesting part of the history. The Alta Vista was, you know, a very expensive place, lots of international patients. That was actually owned and operated by Camilo Panerai, who was from Venezuela. So that was another important place with the Spanish-speaking patients. But one of the places where the Spanish-speaking patients really kind of connected with the community was at the Study and Craft Guild. And that was established in 1935 to bring occupational therapy into the village to make it available to the community and to the patients who weren't at the Trudeau Sanatorium. It was a huge part of the community. They taught many, many different courses there. But one of the really interesting, and so a lot of the community members were involved. You know, it was a really group effort. And there are many people in this picture that some of you will recognize. Jan Dudonis's father is there, Ed Worthington. And right behind him, the man with the bow tie in the back standing there, that's Alfredo Gonzalez. Later, you know, much more grown up there. So he was on the board of the Study and Craft Guild, and he, in that role, did a lot for the community that brought his culture into the activities of the Study and Craft Guild. Here's a picture of one of the classes that happened at the Craft Guild. These people are not learning Spanish. They're, I think, learning radio techniques and making radios. But there were many, many different classes that were taught there. And one of the classes that Alfredo Gonzalez taught was the Spanish class. So he taught between 1941 and 1945, 1954 and 57, he taught Spanish. And he taught, at one time, he had over 100 students a week. And he taught at Trudeau Sanatorium, Will Rogers, Graybrook, Stonywold, and Sunmount. and he taught at the Guild and in private sanatoria as well. He helped get a Time Magazine radio course going that was called Let's Learn Spanish, so people could learn from the radios at bedside. And they had a class that it culminated in a special contest where they would announce the winner and they would have to do this contest in Spanish. But not only did he teach Spanish classes, but he taught a Spanish club, and that was really like a big party. It met regularly in the 40s and 50s at people's homes and at area sanatoria. A 1954 article in the Guild News described the meetings of the club as, quote, parties complete with music, singing, recitations, all in Spanish, even to the refrescos, or the drinks. So you can imagine the kind of partying that was going on at these Spanish club parties. So Alfredo would bring any of his patients or their families that were well enough, would help prepare food, would help mingle with the other people at the Spanish club. And they were TB patients at the Spanish club, but they were also community members who weren't sick with TB. It was a real mixture. But through that Spanish club, he taught a lot of people to be really interested in the music and the dance of the era. That led to these big parties. So Alfredo Gonzalez knew a lot of famous people. And one of the parties that he threw was with these two. This is Grace Moore, who was an opera stage and movie star. And she's pictured there with her husband, whose name was Valentin Parera. And he was a Spanish banker and a movie producer and an actor in Europe and Hollywood. So I think he had TB. Maybe she did, not sure, maybe both. But they knew Alfredo, and he asked them to do a benefit concert for the Guild in 1941. So that was one of the first big parties that they threw. Now, from 1942 to 1952, for 10 years, they held a dance at the Hotel Saranac called the Harvest Hop. And that was a benefit fundraiser for the Guild. And Alfredo Gonzalez was in charge of that for those 10 years. And often he would sponsor or put together a dance that had a Spanish Latin American flavor. One of a manager at the Hotel Saranac during that time was John, they called him John Valdez. And you might have heard of him, some of you. He was actually born in New Jersey, but his parents were Spanish speaking. And so he was able to sort of mingle with both worlds. The 1942 Harvest Hop, this was the first one with the Spanish flair, was the Pan American Union in Washington, D.C. loaned a complete set of flags, large flags from all 21 Latin American countries, which were used to decorate the hotel. The event included a pageant with, quote, 21 beautiful girls participating, each representing a different country. There was a Latin dance contest. Alfredo Gonzalez brought the band Senor Uvani and his Caballeros, and the singer Luisa Pavan Hennessy. So that must have been quite a party. So two of the people that Alfredo Gonzalez really involved in these activities was Rosita Rios and Benito Collada. And they were a couple from New York City that he met and knew well. I don't know if they had TB or if they were just connected to Alfredo because they were friends, but she was a really good singer. And they sang regularly at the El Chico nightclub. I think they actually were part owners or something. I love this picture of the El Chico nightclub. It's in New York City. It's still there today. It's been very well restored and cared for, and it's now a gay nightclub. But you can go in and see, apparently all the murals are restored and preserved there. So that's pretty cool. Here's some advertisements from the El Chico, which I just think are beautiful, the drawings and things. So Benito Collada and Rosita Rios were connected with the El Chico, and Alfredo Gonzalez would bring them up and they would help with these dances and performances. They became really part of the community too, and they actually bought this house on Helen Street. And then they were joint owners for a while at the Swiss Chalet, and they sponsored some big dances out there. Now here's another character real quick from the local history, Mario Vargas. This is 1948. He was a Venezuelan general. He was head of the Venezuelan Armed Forces, living at Alfredo Gonzalez's cure cottage because he was very sick with TB. It was during a time when there was a whole lot of chaos in Venezuela. There was a coup at brewing, and while General Vargas was here, 2 Venezuelan presidents came to visit him to try to get him to help avoid this coup. So one of the visits was a state visit, and it was a huge deal in Saranac Lake. You know, there was like a huge cavalcade going through to get this president to visit General Vargas. The other one was totally incognito. Nobody knew that the other person was ever here. So all of that was happening in 1948. Super interesting. But the other thing that happened in 1948 was the fiesta hop, because the party continued. Nobody really cared a whole lot about Venezuelan politics, I guess. And Alfredo Gonzalez was going to make the most he could out of having this famous guy there. So he capitalized on the impressive stature of his Venezuela guest, and he made the harvest hop of 1948 a Latin theme. The star singer, again, was Rosita Rios. There she is in El Chico nightclub. Vargas served as honorary chairman, and old-timers would remember Vargas's uniform weighted down with medals. He arranged for a shipment by air straight from Venezuela of 100 native orchids, so that the women at the dance could all have their orchids. The hotel was decorated with Latin American murals. Mr. and Mrs. P.J. Serrales, and they were from the Don Q Rum Company, very, very wealthy people who were here with a sick daughter with TB. They did a samba exhibition. Rosita Rios and Benito Collada were the stars, along with the music of Raul Barragan and his 5-piece orchestra. What a party that must have been. So, keeping in mind Rosita and all the people that were dancing in 1948 at the Hotel Saranac, we're gonna learn how to do what they did. And I'm gonna turn it over to my friend Vanessa, who was so sweet to prepare this little dance lesson for us. So I suggest that you turn your cameras off or turn them on if you want people to see you learning how to dance. I'm gonna make sure mine is off. And we're gonna watch Vanessa. This is about 7 minutes. And then we'll close after that. I have a little more to show you after that. So let's go to Vanessa and see what she can show us.
Hi everyone, this is Vanessa Pillen coming from the Dance Sanctuary outdoors today, and we are going to be doing a mini mambo lesson. So the mambo is a really fun, upbeat dance that was developed in Cuba in the 1940s, and we're really excited to just do this little mini lesson. So feel free to stand up, try it with me, and it's something that you can keep trying on your own. And we're just gonna start with the basic step. Front and side, and you can do this by yourself or with a partner. So don't be afraid to try it. If you've never done mambo or you've never done any kind of ballroom dance, don't be intimidated. This is just for fun. So get on up and let's try it together. So I'm going to show you the footwork first for the basic step. Both men and women, or leads and follows, we're going to do the same thing. So just spread out so you have a little bit of room, and I'm going to back up so you can see my feet. And we're gonna start with the left foot moving forward first on what we will count 1 through 4. We hold, beat 1, and then we step forward on 2. We'll step forward with that left foot, 2, rock, step back, 3, and then come back to what we call that neutral position on 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's just that, a little rock step to the front, step back on that back foot, and then feet together in your neutral position by 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're gonna do the opposite with your foot going to the back, your right foot to the back. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the same movement, same counts, but just to the back. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the front and back basic step. Now we're gonna take that same those same counts, but move them side to side now. So you have a little bit of variety. Again, you can do this without a partner as you're just learning, and then you can grab a partner and do it together. So this is the side basic, same counts. Your feet are just gonna start next to each other, and then we're gonna step out to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, we're back to that rock step where you're shifting your weight out, back to where you were, and then step in, and then go the opposite way. Out, in, together. So we have out, in, together, and out, in, together. Okay, so now we're gonna do it with the counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's really just marching in place, and then you're just shifting your weight again, doing that little rock step, and then bringing the feet back together, rock, step, together. Now, as you go too, you can kind of sway those arms, get a little bit loose as you move. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take that basic step front and back for the mambo, and then we'll switch it to the side. And you'll see, you can kind of just do this in your pajamas at home, or if you want to get all dolled up and enjoy some mambo with a partner, you can do that too. So going back to our counts, moving forward and back with our basic step, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm gonna say a little pause here, and now let's try that side basic. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can put those two together and have your own little dance. What we'll do is back and forth basic. We'll do that 4 times, front, back, and then we'll go to the side, 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 side. And then you can repeat it. And then throw on your favorite mambo song or discover some new fun Cuban music, and away we go. So let's put the whole little combo together. So feet right next to each other, going to the front first. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, a lot of mambo music is going to be quite a bit faster than that. So once you feel really good about that basic move, then you can speed it up and enjoy just kind of taking off. And again, get those arms into it. Allow your upper body to sway as you do that rock step forward and back or side to side. So let's try it a little faster. Here we go. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the side. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that is a little mini mambo lesson. I hope that you had a lot of fun and enjoy. Keep practicing and grab a partner, and you can move together in what we call closed position, where the lead's left arm is up and then their right hand is on your partner's shoulder blade in the back. Or you can do an open position where you're just holding hands in the front and you're moving back and forth together, side to side together. So, all right, so grab a partner, any one of your family members or neighbors or whoever, and try it out. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3,
we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Yay!
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Vanessa. That was adorable. Vanessa made our, both of our galas really special. The first two with the 1920s. Not only was she there dancing up a storm, but she was, she trained like half the town how to dance some of that 1920s music. And a lot of you guys were there dancing. It was really great to see. You're just such a great part of our community, Vanessa, and that was really awesome. And the second time you were like incredibly pregnant, or maybe it was the first time, or maybe both, and you were still dancing better than anybody else. So in case you're inspired to hear a little bit more of Mambo, I just want to show you one quick video that I found online, just to show you a little bit more. It's not a good quality video, but the music is great, and you can make out just how the guys are dancing while they're playing. And it's a vintage video of a Mambo big band. I'm just gonna show you a little bit, and then we'll stop and take some questions or just discuss. So let me just show you this quick video here. It's really great.
Cuando yo te vea, permite que ven a explicarte los momentos de amargura que pasé por ti, mujer. Yo comprendo, soy un hombre.
So I just love imagining that the Hotel Saranac back in 1948 was, that was the song that was playing out through the community. I think it's just super awesome to think that that's what our town used to be like. So thank you everyone for this, for joining us for this little celebration of our town and our history. And I'm just gonna switch to a bigger screen. If you need to go have your dinner, I understand. If you'd like to sit around and talk a little bit or ask any questions, please do.